Presentation will be from the Department of Economic Development, and we will hear from the Deputy County Manager and the Director of that department, Bill Reyes.
Good evening,
Director Reyes.
Good evening, Chairman, freeholders. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you to lay out the 2015 Department of Economic Development budget. Where we begin with the 2014 accomplishments. Just love to say that, for the first year that economic development has come on board, we did a lot, and I'd like to share with you some of the things that happened in 2014. We begin with the WIB, the Workforce Investment Board. As you can see from the slide, we've helped a lot of individuals to training them for job opportunities, and we're very proud of that. And in 2015, goals and initiatives, you'll see some more ambitious goals that we're going to strive for. But this is what happened in 2014. In strategic planning and intergovernmental relations, we continued with some of the more popular programs under the umbrella of Union County Means Business. We're changing the model a little bit to have that be the umbrella that has economic development programs under. It's very successful on itself with programs and forums that it held. Actually, you see a picture there with Senator Cory Booker and Google representative and a LinkedIn representative, which was very successful. We, of course, had our very popular, very successful UC Steps program, second annual. Of course, we had a rebirth of the Union County Mayor's Roundtable, which we just literally had the second meeting a week ago, and the participation has stayed pretty stable, and it's been very favorably looked upon by the mayors. And of course, the Vernon Valley Rail Coalition was something that the Freeholder Board has been very active with, and we have on our end as well. Moving forward to information technology, one of the chairman initiatives last year was the Wi-Fi installation of apartment facilities, which was accomplished. And we also completed phase 1 of the voice over IP system, which to date so far has saved us over $200,000. And you'll see in 2015 that being another goal for this year. We upgraded all county computers to Windows 7, which if you ever try to upgrade your Windows systems, try doing that over 2,000 times, and that was done by our IT department. Engineering had a great year, as you know, with the weather that we had last year. We increased the mileage of repaving and handicap ramps that were done throughout the county. We improved intersections and traffic signal improvements. Bridges and culvert repair and replacements are obviously key. We began the restoration of Lake Surprise Dam, which you'll see come back in 2015 as a goal. Upgraded work order card system, which is web-based. This allows us to track jobs, not just through paper, as we have been, but literally through web-based, and be able to have a printout of everything that was done and everything, and who did it and when they did it, and if the whole job is still completed or open or not. And that system keeps improving for 2015. And it's an inventory management system as well that literally has tracked every single piece of equipment that is owned or has been purchased by the county. For 2015, I will say it is an ambitious year that we are moving forward towards. First of all, the Blossing Report, which this year you heard under the Chairman's initiatives, Union County Roadmap to Success. We had an initial one meeting this week, and we heard some very positive things about the economic development forecast for Union County. And we're going to use that report to make sure that our initiatives and our programs are in line with what's out there in the county as far as the economy and the direction that we need to go in to make sure that we have more opportunities and more job growth in the county. Another goal is the Strengthening the Family Initiative, which we're working with several nonprofit organizations to improve centers throughout the county to be able to help families. Sometimes families fall short of qualifying for federal aid or state aid, but they still need help. They're working poor. They don't qualify, for example, for childcare because they just make a little too much, or two parents are working. So we're looking to be able to help in that area. The next initiative is Union County Economic Response Team. This is a team made up of the individuals under my department that are going to go to each and every municipality this year, sit down with their economic development team, their mayors, their BAs, and literally sit down and say, what do you need? How can we help? What projects are you working on? What projects are stalled? And then offer some of our services as well. And that will begin this month. That's also part of the response team, is also part of coordinating the quarterly mayor's roundtables. Like I said, the second one just took place. And at the end of the year, after visiting all the municipalities and getting the policy report, we'd like to put together an economic development summit, inviting all the municipalities, all our partners, UCEDC, EDC, and some of the organizations that can help with economic development, bring them all together and have a really successful event. Important to understanding economic development at that point at the end of the year, and hopefully helping out the municipalities as much as possible. Then we focus on Workforce Innovation Business Center from the WIB. There is a $2.3 million expansion for the WIB Center, which is now at the Mills at Jersey Gardens. It is a large investment, and the investment is in part because we're trying to put in as much money as possible for training, but not just training for the entry-level job, but training for English as a second language, computer classes, soft skills, which we've learned that are really necessary in today's market. There are so many people out there that are looking for jobs, and sometimes the difference is literally only the way you dress, or the way you say hello, or if you're on time, or basic hygiene. And so we're addressing those issues as well. There's a youth component, obviously, because the youth are being squeezed out, obviously, by older individuals who are looking for jobs because they can't get it. So that's a portion of it as well. There's also an entrepreneurial training program, on-the-job training program, which is actually being administered through EDC. That's been very successful, and that's basically letting an employer have a new employee come in, and while the training period, we will help with the cost of that employee, so that the investment for them is not as significant. And while they're being trained, they're getting paid through our program. So they're more likely to take our individuals, our county residents, and then somebody else that they're going to have to pay for the training and see if they work out. Again, the Youth Employment and Training Program is very critical to us, and one of the new things that I'm very proud about too is middle management career skills. So what happens to the individual who doesn't qualify under the regular WID regs and needs help? They've been out of a job for months and years, and they used to make 60, 70, 80, 90, or six figures, but doesn't qualify. Well, we want to have a program that's going to help them get retrained for maybe a career change or get more training in their current field that they've been having a hard time to find a job in. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to close the gaps on some of the differences that exist out there as far as being able to help all types of individuals in the county despite their social and economic situations. One other thing that still that's taking place at the WIB Center is the We Are One New Jersey. This is to assist qualified and legal permanent Union County residents with their naturalization. And if you remember, this is the partnership that the board approved with the New Jersey State AFL-CIO. Those classes have begun already, and our center individuals who are working for us have been certified through federal government to be able to help documented individuals become citizens. This is a very important program because, as many of you know, there are many agencies out there, unfortunately, take advantage of our residents and make them pay a certain amount of money to do the same thing that we can do for them for free. As you remember, we were granted $600,000 EPA grant for brownfield assessments, and we currently have an RFP out for that program. We'll begin with assessing how many brownfields we have in the county and where they're located. Once we have that information, we'd like to work with some partners to be able to help individuals and municipalities to develop those properties. It's not good enough just to say, hey, there's a brownfield over there by that train station. How can we help develop it? How can we help prospective developers and contractors look at it and make it more attractive to them? And that's something that we're going to look through it and work on in 2015. Of course, there's the updating of the Union County Transportation Master Plan. That RFP has already been out, and we have gotten a response back from that. Completion of the Passaic River Snagging Project, which, if you all know, was a long time coming and a project that Amy Reiner's been working on. Continued advocacy of the one-seat line. As you know, there's 2 more phases. There's weekend and there's peak hour ridership that we'd like to increase, so that's going to be our focus also in 2015. And in engineering, as always, we like to make sure that our roads are safe, especially after this very difficult winter with all the snow. And so far right now we have committed 12 miles. We are also going to work towards bridges and culvert repairs, as always, intersection and signal repairs, oversight of various county park improvements, which Director Ronzo will address in his presentation, and we are slated for completion of Lake Supply Stand replacement for 2015. And we're also very excited with GIS, because GIS this year will finalize a program that's going to go out for first aid responders. This is it's called Development of Emergency Management Portal, combining GIS, photography, and Google Street. Basically what it is if you've ever used Google Street and you've seen our maps with all the different layers, and photometry is actually a 3D image of any building. So what will happen will be that you will literally, our first responders will have the ability to see any building and every building in the county 3D before they get to the incident. And in many cases, they'll also be able to see inside the building if there's photography of the inside of the building, and also maps of the layout of the actual building. So, and this they'll have in their vehicles and at their hands readily available. And this is something that we're very excited about and should be launched in a few weeks. And of course, information technology, phase 2 of the voice over IP completion. That's the goal for 2015, which will be a significant savings to the county.
Is that the final phase?
That would be the final phase. That's correct. And that's scheduled to be completed this year.
All right.
Time
Time to sell, Director.
So here we go. So the Director's Office budget, for all those great initiatives and goals and things that have been set forward, like I said, it is ambitious. As you see, the salary change came about from the regular 2% in salary increases for the department, as well as 2 individuals that came on board for the Director's Office. All have been approved by this board. The seasonal salary I'm requesting for $20,000 is literally just to be able to help with some of the programs and initiatives and bring in new individuals to be able to start training them to help us in some of these initiatives. Once the Blount report comes in, there's a lot of further research that we'll do on our ends locally, and we'd like to have some help with that. especially with seasonal help. We've been very blessed with having really good seasonal help in other areas of the department, coming from Rutgers and coming from Kane. But I'd like to ask for $20,000 for that help. Now the next one, other expenses. Are we operating? Yes, there is a huge jump, but let me go through some of the reasons why there is a significant jump in this budget. $240,000 was AFL-CIO budget, which was approved by the board for the Naturalization and Immigration Office at the WIB Center. $216,000 went to the Strengthening Families Initiative that I spoke about before. The $54,000, which was previously in my previous budget, was to continue the Union County Means Business, the roundtables, the response team, economic development, the response team, and anything that comes about from those programs and initiatives. $200,000 is for the middle management program to be able to help individuals who are struggling to find employment in management. As you know, that's the one group of unemployed members of the community that really have little resources to help them get training and improve their situation. So, and then there's $50,000 extra to be able to anticipate any other programs and initiatives that might come up from any of those initial programs and initiatives.
I'm sorry, what was that number?
50,000.
50,000. Well, Freeholders, I do recall, we did go forward with the AFL-CIO program last year, and some of the other of these initiatives are covered in the Freeholder initiatives for this year. But at this time, I'll open it up to questions from the Freeholder Board. If you have any questions for Director Reyes involving any of these initiatives or the budget of economic development as a whole. It's really for us.
I see we'll talk about $700,000, $766,000 when it comes to 08. I think you really got to fine tune it and look at if there's any possible cuts, even if it's $10,000 per line item, or just try to save some type of money, because it is a big jump from $3,000 spent last year to $766,000 being asked for this year coming up.
I agree. I see last year as a foundation year. That was the year that we had to, one, stabilize the team, the economic development team, and then start looking at opportunities that were out there. And so last year, it wasn't my intent to really put forward, just projects for the sake of putting projects forward. It was literally a year to reflect and make sure that we were in line with the market, we were in line with the things that were going on throughout the state and the nation, and put programs together that were going to prepare us for the future. So I think at this point, we did our work, our due diligence. We'll continue to do so, especially with the report that we're about to get in about 2 months, and then have set forward these initiatives that really will strengthen our families in Union County. And that's why the really big jump in the budget. But I agree with you. The intent is not to spend it all. The intent is to spend it wisely and efficiently within each one of those programs.
Now, are any of these dollars worth being used from the Workforce Investment Board from federal dollars that we receive from grants?
So what happens is they'll leverage it. For example, the AFL-CIO, $240,000. That has WIB funding on the back end, so that when an individual or individuals come in to get help with citizenship, they're also asked about their employment situation, and if they need help training or job skills or soft skills, then they'll be led over to the WIB program, which then will use money through the WIB program to help them. And so the 240 goes to help them for their citizenship, and then we have WIB money to leverage that. Same thing for the family strengthening. In the middle management as well, everything that we do will have a backup of, okay, great, thank you for coming to this program. Let me ask you something. How is your job situation, your employment situation? And not only for you, but for your spouse, for your adult children as well. So it's not just stopping at, thanks for coming in for the program, how else can we help you? And that's how we'll utilize and leverage with money with these dollars that are county dollars.
Thank you, Chairman.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we asking questions about the other portions of the, or just the director's office?
I'll go to the next, I'll direct the other.
Oh, wait.
The next one is community development and housing. Not much change in the budget, as you all know. That department is dependent on federal funds that come in, and obviously they've been cutting CD money, but we're out there trying to make the most out of the money that we get from the federal government to be able to help our agencies and our individuals that apply for CD money. The $6,000 difference in the salary is just basically just minimal salary increases. The expenses are minimal as well, because a lot of the money comes from the CD funds.
Freeholder Carter.
Of your salaries, how much of that is really from that depends on grant?
I'm sorry?
Of your salaries, how much of that depends on grant?
I believe that's all county funding.
This is all county.
Yes.
The
Exactly.
179 represented on the spreadsheet is the county funding, and then the balance of their salaries, $678,605.
Strategic planning. The salary increase for that line item is also due to 2% increases. There was also a hire for $35,000 to help with economic development as well. If you look below at other expenses, you'll see a decrease, and that decrease is due to the fact that we eliminated one of our programs and consolidated it in another place. So we were able to reach those savings. And to your point, Freeholder, we frequently reevaluate programs and decide if they're working or if we can use them in some other areas or differently. And in that budget, we were able to make a change.
Was that change, and you said you eliminated, was it eliminated totally or eliminated from this portion of the budget and moved somewhere else?
It was eliminated from this portion of the budget and then reduced and placed somewhere else in case we can utilize it later on.
Yes.
Freeholder Wright.
In relation to what you just talked about, what other portion or where will that go, that money?
Right now, it's literally we're trying to decide where to best utilize the money due to our programs that are coming online. So right now it's taken from this budget, and
Where has it been placed?
the placement of the other money, I believe,
We're looking at the feasibility of housing it or having the college pick up that program. Freeholder, right? That decision has not
Okay.
yet been made, but we're still.
But that's what you,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
terms of your plan.
yeah, it's set aside for that. But if it doesn't work out, then the money is not lost. It will come back. It has not been.
But you do not need it, so.
No, we may need it, right. We may need it, and we want to be able to access it in case that we do go on forward with some of the initiatives that have been expressed in the goals and the objectives for this year.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in this area, it looks like another, in addition to your budget director, the seasonal budget here is also 20,000, so that's a significant amount of seasonals across two different areas in your,
That's correct, but it also comes from a department that has no seasonals. So the intent was to add seasonals to this office as well as the Economic Development Director's office as well, because they do function in different areas.
I guess I'd like to see just what the plan is for using the seasonals, how long, what the job function's going to be in both of the areas, just to get an idea of what that's going to be used for.
Absolutely. In this particular case, that $20,000 was slated to be used in the Office of Planning, because currently we have Rutgers students that are being reimbursed for travel, but it's the only year we can have them without an expense, an actual salary, and we don't know if we're going to be able to have that again. So we'd like to prepare for the fact that we may have to pay for the interns rather than just paying for their commute, which is obviously not that a lot of money.
All right, thanks.
Information technologies, the salary increases are basically, we had a position that was on loan to the county police that was going to look into the cameras systems throughout the county. And since we were able to utilize one of our state approved vendors, I asked for the position back at a discount. I believe the initial position was over $70,000, and I asked only for a $42,000 in IT entry-level position back that originally was in IT. And the rest is literally increases in 2%, previously approved by the board. Overtime was simple request of $5,000. The seasonal, as you see, was originally $15,000, but we were expended over $54,000, and that's due to all the projects that were initiated last year. It really was time consuming to be able to do the changeovers of all the computers. It's all the things that we rely on IT is time consuming, and due to the fact that they are understaffed, the seasonal help really was an aid to them this year, and continues to be. So we'd like to be able to utilize some more funding to be able to bring some more seasonals in. And of course, the other expenses, the $30,000 jump is really due to new software platforms for the payroll department. Engineering to 55. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Let me go back to this question. All right, I think I really want to add on to what Freehold and Mirabella was saying. When it comes to seasonal, even for the adopted budget was $15,000, and then for this year requesting $50,000, and then on top of that, we have overtime for being paid out for roughly $15,000. Needs to find something in between. Why, if we're bringing somebody else on to do seasonal work, why we're getting overtime also at the same time? Which I am now.
And that has to do with the level of work and ability. Some of the individuals that are getting the overtime are at a different level than the seasonals, obviously. So you can't, we can't send some of the seasonals to do some of the jobs. Server goes down, I'm not sending a seasonal there. We're going to send one, either the director of the division or his assistant. So that's why there's a disparity on it. But my intent for this budget is to utilize the position that we got back from the police department and try to minimize overtime and seasonal help. But we are asking a lot of this department with a very small staff. Literally the people that work on the computers, it's only a handful of people. And we have over 8 buildings, over 2,000 accounts, over 2,000 computers. So, and we're always asking them to do more, whether it's Wi-Fi or upgrades or telephone upgrades. I mean, it literally is a lot to do with a small department.
Is it the situation where it's maybe time to review how we handle our IT functions in this county? And I know that's been brought it up a number of times when we look at these big line items and dealing with is there a diminishing return by trying to have a small staff trying to put out fires all throughout the county as opposed to, and I don't have an actual answer for you or a suggestion, but is this not working? Is it maybe a situation where we need to bring a consultant in to review our overall IT infrastructure?
Sure. And we have
chart new course.
Yes, and we have been talking about that within the division to use this year with the extra position and to literally go over some of the procedures and some of the demands that have been asked of the department, and also using our current consultant as well to see how we can better utilize manpower and the other thing too is that some of these initiatives are take a long time, but for example, the IP changeover, it will at one point end. So that's one less thing that they'll have to do. So there are certain programs right now that we're running that eventually will move on to something else. So we need to look at that as well to see what the next 5-10-year plan is for that department. Eventually, maybe getting rid of servers and going to the cloud. Well, how does that change things? Eventually, doing different things as far as IP lines all over or T1 lines versus how we have it now. So all those things we're discussing, and we really like to use this year to really, maybe think about bringing somebody in and kind of assessing what our needs are for the future for the department. I agree with you. It is time to have that discussion.
Real?
And then there's engineering, the increase in the salary line item, which basically increases in that were pre-approved. No new staff members were added to that. Other expenses, and there, as you see, the reasoning for the jump from the 57 to 207 is literally because on-call engineering, we can no longer take that out of capital. It now has to come out of OE expenses. So literally, that's why the jump in the OE for engineering.